colleagues, dear students, guests, that's another very interesting and very important for us and very special day today at the American Center. We have distinguished guests from United States of America and from Canada. We as a university are really proud. Guests from United States of America and from Canada came to the international forum, which just yesterday have opened in the Heydar Aliyev Center. And we try to do our best in order to have these distinguished guests of Azerbaijan at our university. And I'm so happy that State Senator of United States of America, Roach,
that's right,
together with us today. You are very welcome, very great friend of Azerbaijan and very special guest of my country. You are very welcome to University of Languages. At the same time, our friends and our partners from Canada and the leader of the friendship group of the Canadian Parliament, actually Vice Speaker of Canadian Parliament, very good friend of Azerbaijan, who has done a lot for friendship between Canada and Azerbaijan. Barry?
Yes.
Is here, please. You are very welcome. And his friend, also from Canada, what's your name? Jimmy. Jimmy, also from Canada, you are also very welcome. Can I open the secret that you are running for elections?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's running for elections, and this guy is going to be a professor of this university in US Language. And that's why we are happy to see all our friends and colleagues from America and from Canada. This is a unique center, the biggest one, and I think the best one, I hope. And because we are opening to the rest of the universities in Azerbaijan, we are open to the rest of the universities in Azerbaijan, to just ordinary citizens. And as I know here, not only students from my university, but from other universities also taking part, and we are happy and welcome to this event. And I think that this is really very important in order to understand what America needs and what we need from America in this center. That's why thank you very much for hosting us today. At the same time, we have very distinguished members of the parliament today together with me. I'm working also at the parliament, as you know. Professor Rasim Musabekov, well-known scholar, and he's a specialist in international relations. You are very welcome to our university. He's a member of our Foreign Relations Committee. Javanshir Feyziev graduated from this university. He used to be a teacher of French at this university, and now he's a member of the parliament and a very active member of the Foreign Relations Committee, and person who has been elected from this district, who is actually doing a lot for this university, and not only for this university, but for the rest of the university in this Nasimi district. Professor Asim Mollazadeh, you are always very welcome. That's why we immediately taking a floor, giving floor to State Senator, and then to our friends from Canada. Please, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. Well, I was going to be addressing women in politics in the United States. Do you still want me to give a little time to that? Or?
Oh, yeah, of course, yes.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and do that. So I see there are a lot of women in the room, and I really appreciate your being here. I think that in the future, one of you will be, I think I'm pretty safe in this bit, one of you will be in elected office fairly soon, I would think, because you're here because you're interested in politics, and I think interested in serving the people of whatever district you might be in. I had a few prepared remarks. I'm not sure, should I just more introduce myself or go ahead?
Please.
So I'm the state senator in Washington State, and when I first started politics, it was activist politics. I was working in my community. Essentially, though I didn't know it at the time, I was building a resume. Because at some point in time when you want to run for office, you have to give people a reason why they should vote for you over your opponent, right? You can't just jump in and do this. And what I had prepared for you was a little bit about early women in politics. United States, we began to have women voting constitutionally. They did it in states prior to the U.S. Constitution being changed, but 1920. So I think you preceded us in that. But even in 1920, there were maybe a few women elected to higher office and office to begin with, but not a lot. Really, women were at home, they were raising families, the man was out working, a model I think that was a good one in many ways. But things changed in the world, more expenses for family development and so forth, women began working, and along with that, we had the development of what we call the women's movement. So in 1977, Jimmy Carter, who was our national president at the time, called an IWY, International Women's Year. He said, this is the year of the woman. And we're going to take delegates from each of the 50 states, and they're going to meet in Houston, Texas, and we're going to come up for a platform of what the women in our country want. I want to hear from you, he said. So it became very political, because in the United States there was this battle between really liberal feminists who favored things like, and some of these things are good, I'll just tell you what they are. They wanted the Equal Rights Amendment. They wanted to have abortion rights. They wanted to have the Equal Rights Amendment, and things like that. And so what ended up happening was they also wanted same-gender marriage. And most of these things have been accomplished in the United States since 1977. But the Equal Rights Amendment never did pass. And probably never will. There's not the will to do it. You have to have a constitutional convention, really, and a certain number of states ratifying, and it won't happen. So I was on the more conservative side of this. I was coming from a home where, you know, my husband worked, I did not. I had a lot of children. Guess how many children? Who could guess?
5.
You read the bio, doggone you. Okay, so yeah, 5 children, but I have 17 grandchildren. So what I'm here to tell you is that you can do it both. When we look back to the movement in 1977, there were statements like this: a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. In other words, it was a hardline feminist stance. We don't need men. I'm here to tell you there's something real nice about men, you know? It's not a bad thing. But it was that way, and many of the people that I'm now serving with in the legislature were more on the left wing. And some of them decided not to even get married, for instance, and they're going to be pretty lonely in their old age, is the way I look at it. Those 5 kids mean 17 grandchildren for me, and I got a lot to do outside of politics, just loving and caring for and being a grandma. So you can have it all. So don't let someone tell you, well, if you choose this path, that's it. You can't have other things. I'm here to tell you that you can. The women's movement was wrong. Choosing work over being a homemaker and mother doesn't mean you have to do it that way. You can have it all and do it all. When you decide to run for office, and I'll go on for a few minutes here, there are some things that you have to consider. And when I first got into office, I had a mentor. He was a state senator. I worked for him. I've always been involved in politics and activist stuff at a local level. I stopped an incinerator from being sited near my child's elementary school. Lots of different things. So people knew me in the community. They already knew me in the community. But when I began working for a state senator, it gives you some credibility. Gee, if she works there, she must know the job. Right, Jamie? Where's Jamie?
Here.
Yeah, that's what he's here to say. He worked for a member of parliament, so he's going to run and say, I know the job. Well, I have that nice ability to do that too. But when you decide to run, first of all, you have to ask yourself, where I live, can I win here? Can someone with my philosophy win in this district? Because if you can't, you got 2 choices. Wait till the district changes and not run right now, or move someplace else. And people will do that. So you look at the demographics of your district to determine even if they would elect you. Even if you were a 100% great candidate on other issues, would they elect me? Has nothing to do with being a woman, it has to do with where you stand on issues. Another one, be active in the community, build a resume, we talked about that. What you do translates into how the voters perceive you. Are you a nurse? You must care about people. Are you a police officer? Well, you must care about law and order. You know, whatever it is, are you an educator? Well, you know, I like education. This person must be smart, credentialed, and care about learning. So what you do as you bring it to the voter is going to be important, just as other things. You need to have the support of your family. If you've got a family around you, and you all do, I mean, you can't, let's put it this way, it's a whole lot nicer if they help you. My husband has put up my yard signs for the last 25 years. So I will tell you that I was elected in 1990. I forgot to mention this. So I'm the longest serving state senator in the west of Mississippi. So I just won my 7th term, my 7th 4-year term. And one of the things I should tell you about that, when we talk about building a resume, you also want to think about name familiarity. You want everybody to know who you are, right? So I have another very unique thing in my family. My son Dan decided to run for office. I didn't ask him, but somebody else did, and I go, oh, are you kidding me? So he ran for the state legislature. So you have now, for the first time in U.S. history, because he did win, a parent and a child representing the same district at the same time. He came into that race with 72% name familiarity because everybody knew me, they knew him, they liked me, they liked him. We served together for 10 years, and now he has a different elective office. But that's kind of unique. So it's rough and tumble, but you need the support of your family. How do you look? You take good care of yourself? You know, you got to be looking good. Can you speak in public? What are your positions on the issues? I don't vote for someone because they're a woman. I don't vote because they're a man. I want to know what they're thinking on the issues. So, you know, if they haven't told you, the gentleman in the front row has done his research. So am I Republican or Democrat?
I prefer only honest people.
He said I prefer honest people. It doesn't matter from Republican.
Well, you know, that's number 10 on the list. Honesty and integrity, because if you don't have that, don't get in public office. I don't want you in office. So anyway, I'm a Republican, and so the other day on television there was Hillary Clinton's daughter, Chelsea, giving the pitch for her mom. And she says, well, you know, we need more women in office. They only represent 20% of all the people in office. There are reasons for that. Women don't get involved. I'm trying to encourage you to get involved. A lot of reasons for that. But I'm not voting for her mother. I'm not voting her mother. I don't care about the gender of the person that's the President of the United States. I want someone that most reflects my way of thinking. And one of those ways you'll appreciate, I want to make sure that Azerbaijan is protected. I want your democracy to thrive. I want you to increase, and you've done such wonderful things since independence. It's amazing. Because not every country that was freed eventually from the Soviets has prospered like yours. You had a good oil base from which to run the economy and so forth, but there's a lot more going on, always to be perfected. No government is perfect, and you'll be able to be part of that, I believe. So, ability to raise money, you can't run without some money. I represent almost 200,000 people, so it's going to cost me quite a bit, maybe $500,000 to win a race. My opponent will have at least that and need more. Are you a hard worker? Because if you're not a hard worker, you don't belong in politics. I don't mean just working in your work. I mean, do you have what they call fire in the belly? You know what that means? Fire in the belly. You gotta want it. I had a serious opponent in my last election. Thankfully, I'm not looking for election this November. I won mine last November. But it was a serious race. I rented a house in the center of my district. Actually, it was one I owned. I just happened to have. So I told the renters, you'll have to leave. Moved into the house. Slept on a cot. You know what a cot is? An army cot? It's just a fold-out canvas bed. I had folding tables and chairs, and I lived there for 7 months. There was nothing on the walls but maps of the district. The folding chairs were... Because I wanted to win. Losing is not an option. That's how you have to think. That's called fire in the belly. After all these years, I still got it, and I won. You know, so it does matter. So, the most important thing in my mind is honesty and integrity, and I'll close with this one, move on. If you have questions, we'll do that. But honesty and integrity. If there's a lobbyist that comes into my office and lies to me, and I find out about it, they don't ever come back. They don't ever come back, because I have to have honesty and truthfulness, and that's what you want. But to want that is one thing. If you have to be that. You have to be the person that your people want to elect. So thank you very much for having me today, and this was kind of the basis of some of my remarks. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And the floor immediately goes to Barry, please.
Well, thank you for the invitation to be here today with my friend from the United States. I think many of you know Canada and the United States are two countries that sit side by side in North America. On the map, we look very similar. Canada is actually a little bit bigger than the United States.
Really?
But, but in terms of population, the United States has 10 times as many people. So while Canada is a very large country on the map, in terms of population, we are actually a medium-sized country with 34 million people. So for Canadians, we live beside a very large, very powerful neighbor who is our friend. Historically, Canada's roots come from the United Kingdom, from England, as well as from France. So in some ways, Canada is similar to Azerbaijan. I mean, Azerbaijan, you also live in a neighborhood with big, powerful neighbors. Okay? Now, for me, I prefer our big, powerful neighbor. But even then, there are times when you know, we are a small country, and so we, in terms of population and influence. So when I come to a place like Azerbaijan, and I look at the international relations for your country for many centuries between Iran and Russia and Turkey, sometimes a dangerous neighborhood, and you must be careful in the relationships that you make. So it's not the same as Canada, but I think sometimes people don't appreciate that in Canada, as I say, we are actually a medium-sized country, not a large country. I was interested to hear Pam talk about more women in politics, and I noticed that many of the students here today are young women. It is a challenge to get more women in politics, and also in Canada we are working on this. In the last election in Canada, we had a very large change in one province. A party that was very small, that had one seat, suddenly won 57 seats, and many of the new members of parliament are very young, and many of them are young women. So we have probably 10 or 15 young women, younger than 30 years old, serving in our parliament. Some of them were university students. They were a candidate. They never thought they would win because they were the third party or fourth party, but things happened very suddenly. So it has been interesting for me to watch the last few years, to watch these young members of parliament make a big impact, to have an influence on the policy of Canada. And I think it has been good for our parliament. Now, they are not from my party, so I wish they were all from my party. But I think young people, and when I say young people, in politics, young means under 40, maybe, okay? Not under 25, but under 40, can make a positive contribution. It has been said I am retiring from the parliament this year. I've been there for 11 years, only 4 election campaigns. But when I started, I said 10 years will be enough. And many years ago, I was a professor in a political science department teaching, and that is what I will go back to doing, to teaching. So on my business card, it says my profession is politician, but really in my heart, I am a teacher. Both of my parents are teachers. So I think it is great that we have the opportunity to be here today to talk to you. This is my 4th visit to Azerbaijan. I was first here 7 years ago and have returned, and I can see how quickly things are changing here. Each time I arrive in Baku, I wonder, what new buildings will I see between the airport and downtown, right? It's always at least one new building, or often many more things that are being built here. You know that your economy is built on oil revenue, but the oil will not last forever. So it is very important, I think, that your government is investing money in infrastructure, highways, railways, airports, universities, schools, hospitals, building the infrastructure, both physical infrastructure, roads and airports, but also human infrastructure. building universities, educating young people, because in the future, I know it is the goal of your government to make the economy more diversified, to have more from agriculture and more from technology and more from tourism. I know that everybody in Azerbaijan is very excited that the European Games will be here next month. It will be, I think it was the Eurovision contest that really made Europe aware of Azerbaijan, and I believe that the European Games will do the same thing. So my final message is, I think for you, it is a very exciting time for you to be here. I think it is a great time to be a young person in Azerbaijan, to be in a university that has a global focus. Pam said that at least one of you will be elected, and I believe that is true. I also know that many of you will probably live in other countries for part of your life. So this university has a global focus, outward focus. Azerbaijan will always be your home, but maybe you will live for a few years in Canada or United States or somewhere else, and those are wonderful opportunities. So study hard, do a good job in school, learn your languages, not just English, but other languages as well. And I wish you all the success, and I hope that I will have the opportunity to return again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a few words, maybe, as a future politician.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. Azerbaijan, this is my first time. It is a beautiful country, and I appreciate your hospitality. I'll just talk a bit about myself because, as the Senator and Barry mentioned, politics is a very interesting sport, and I call it a sport because it can be hard-hitting at times, but also a lot of fun. I was a journalist prior to getting into politics. And I'd like to say I'm under 40, so as Barry said, young people are great to be in politics. I actually ran against Barry for the nomination of our party back in 2004. I lost, obviously. Barry won, and I did not know him at all. I think we met once prior to. And a couple days after the nomination, I received a phone call from Barry. He asked me to be his campaign manager. Kind of caught me off guard, but I accepted his offer. And I think during that campaign, we grew to like each other and respect each other. And then when he won that election in 2004, he asked me to be part of his team. And I accepted again. So I have been working for him for 11 years. And a few years ago, he announced he would not be running again. And that was my time to say, this is the job I've always wanted to do. Politics I've always been interested in, so I'm going to take a run for the nomination. And I did that, and thankfully I was successful. And as Senator Roach pointed out, I used pretty much her exact line. I've been doing the job for the past 11 years in Barry's role as executive assistant. I know the job. I've gained the experience, but I'm not old enough that I've been part of the furniture, and so I think I have a lot to offer. So hopefully our election is coming up on October 19th, and my fingers are crossed. I'm going to be working hard and knocking on doors and kissing babies and shaking hands, so we'll see what happens.
Thank you very much. Now the floor is going on to the audience, and please, you can ask your questions. Please. Oh. Please help me, hands.
Hello, my name is Afsan Abdullaeva. I'm my faculty is Pedagogical English Germany, and I want to know what do you think about the future of American-Azerbaijan economical cooperation?
Well, I think the United States is always wanting trade partners, no question about it. Washington State, where I come from, which is the Pacific Northwest, the furthest, not besides Alaska, furthest north, furthest west, and we do a lot of trade with Asia. Where you are on the face of the earth does matter, because our natural trade allies are going to be Japan and Taiwan and some China, but we're right on the west coast. So Azerbaijan, we like to trade with everyone, and we have things that we think we can offer, and if you are in a position, just let me know afterwards. I'll put you together with some of our trade office people to come up with some ideas. You will have some very unique things that we might want to buy. I don't know about the rugs because I want to buy them all, so I don't know.
The next question. You already have the microphone. How can you read it?
Hello, I am Oktay. I am an internally displaced person. My question to is Mrs. Pamela Roach. According to your biography, you are appreciated as a community organizer, and you have been making your efforts to for the prosperity of the humanitarian achievements, as you have established School of Hope in Honduras. And our people, we internally displaced persons, have been suffering from the humanitarian assistance from the United States of America. As you know, on October 24th, 1992, the United States Congress adopted Freedom Support Act resolution number 907, and that resolution cancelled primary humanitarian assistance to Azerbaijan Republic, and our people suffered from that resolution. You have been elected as for U.S. Congress since 1994 for 4 terms. Have you ever made any efforts to cancel that 907 resolution?
Well,
And you have been we have been working as a senator since 1992, and still 2 years.
yeah, let me correct you before you go any further. First of all, I'm not a U.S. senator. I'm a senator from the state of Washington. And so the number 907, I have nothing to do with it. I wasn't in the U.S. Congress, and so I'm at a state level. But I'll tell you what I did just this last session. We're still working out some of our budget issues in Washington State. But I did take the time to work very hard to get a resolution in support of Azerbaijan on the Senate floor, and gather some speakers who spoke in favor of the relationships between the United States, the state of Washington, and the country of Azerbaijan. So each elected official is different. My feeling is, I have had an opportunity to travel. I've been to over 50 countries. I do have a school, La Escuela Esperanza, in Honduras, and to many of my friends' operations in the Philippines and so forth. Been to just lots of it, seen a lot of things. Going to be speaking slightly about that this afternoon. But the most important thing I think is we're reaching out to different cultures, trying, from my frame of reference, protecting their freedom. My son was in the military. I'm there to protect freedom around the world, which is a huge sacrifice when you consider that there's a 12-hour time difference between me and you guys. I mean, it's now 20 minutes to 8 or 20 minutes to 1 in the morning, a.m. where I'm from.
No, because I see a lot of students who are behind you, and please. Next question.
My question is why Texas wants to secede from USA, and can we compare this with Ukraine problems?
Texas?
Well, Texas. Look, we all want to. No, they're not leaving the United States. We actually fought a war in the 1860s over that, when the whole south of our country wanted to leave. The issue was essentially slavery, but some economic issues were involved in that. Any talk about that is just to move political thought forward. Texas is as American as you can get, and we're all very committed to the solidarity of the United States. You're going to hear things here and there. You got to check them out, so.
Thank you very much. Who is next, please? To this young lady. And then microphone will go.
Welcome to Azerbaijan and to our university. We are pleased to see you here. And I'm a teacher from the Department of International Relations and Regional Studies. And I have one question. What do you think about the problems of American policy in Azerbaijan, in the Southern Caucasian countries? Thank you.
Well, you know, again, I'm not on the U.S. level, but I'll give you my what for here in front of the aide to our ambassador, so we'll see. But basically, this is what I think. Azerbaijan is separate and apart from a lot of what's going on in this region. You are our friends, and I believe the United States should stick by our friends, and that you are in a strategic location. You are more amazing than you might think. When you're supplying oil to Eastern Europe and providing for them independence from Arab oil or oil that might, you know, this is an amazing part you're playing in the world. The thing that I would tell you though, and the thing that I'm helping to work on is, in the United States, hardly anybody knows about Azerbaijan. So your government, through people that you've sent there at the embassies, so they're trying very hard to build the profile, what we call build the profile. By getting letters to the editor and having gatherings, talking about the culture, sending, you know, I come places like, I go back and talk about it, about the importance in the region. Now I know a whole lot more than I did before 2 years ago when I was here also for a conference. And I think that you're a very special place and that relationship should be strong and remain strong. But remember, I'm not the president. Who we vote in as president is going to be very important for the future of your nation as well as ours.
Thank you very much. Okay, please, yes.
My name is Naila, and my faculty is Regional Studies and International Relations, and my question is next. What do you think would be better for Azerbaijan, to integrate to the European Union or not?
Well, I'll save that for the good members of parliament here at the table.
Good, thank you. And lady, just in the middle, please, yes.
Hayırlı günler, Pedagogical Faculty, English German. Welcome to our university. What do you think about the protection of human rights in your country?
Human rights in the United States.
Yes. You know, I'll be speaking again about that this afternoon. You're going to see a lot of things on the television that give you the wrong impression. We got the best human rights in the whole world in the United States of America. And it's protected by the rule of law. So people who do things that are illegal, hopefully the judicial system will punish that or let them off if they've been innocent. But it's really important to know that the laws of the United States are designed that everyone is treated equally. It doesn't mean they're equal, because no two people are equal. But it means they have equal opportunities and they're treated equally in the sight of the law. You have the right to protest. You have the right, by Constitution, to belong to any religion you want to, right? You have the right to carry guns in the United States. Our Second Amendment gives us the right to keep and bear arms. What country, I mean, you know, excuse me, there aren't too many left that allow this. Britain doesn't allow this. Talk to Australia. I don't know about Canada, I'm not asking. But the idea is that we have protected human rights in the first 10 amendments to our Constitution. Please read those and know that our courts need to enforce what's in that document. And I'm very, very proud of it. I feel very blessed to have these things. And yeah, when I'm at home, I carry a gun. So there you go.
Yes,
not all the time, okay?
Please, microphone to this young lady.
My name is Leila Rustami. I'm from International Relations Department. I'd like to very much your briefing about women and politics, and I had many questions in my mind that I asked about gender and politics, but I don't want to miss my chance to ask another question, which is as follows. How would you explain the fact that United States of America supports the territorial integrity of the states elsewhere in the world, let's say Ukraine and Georgia, but for Azerbaijan it doesn't demonstrate the same position? That is, you send direct financial aid to Karabakh, you support Azerbaijan territorial integrity only in official statements, but not practically. So how would you explain this fact? Thank you.
Well, I'll go back to the statement from the gentleman. I'm not a member of Congress. I don't make those decisions. Because Washington State is more oriented to the Asian culture, I'll tell you this. I mean, I've been to Taiwan several times. Taiwan, our trading partner, our friends, who we are agreed to, that we will protect. I don't know if this administration would do it, but protect from communist China. They aren't even recognized by the United States. We're only trading partners. There is no embassy from Taiwan in the United States, but there is an embassy from China. So what you're pointing out is something that is worldwide. I have no particular explanation for it except that it's political. Everything usually is. And I think that there's a constant reaching out. I can't condone or address it more than that, just to tell you that I am not a member of Congress. But I did want to add one thing, because you said something about maybe not having a chance. I want you to know that politics is a really, really tough field. And when the people in this room decided to run for office, there's a quote I want to maybe if we're about done, I don't know. Confrontation, because that's what politics is. There's some get along, go along stuff, some warm, fuzzy things like, yeah, we want to fund this children's center or something. Everybody agrees. But the tough stuff is confrontational. Confrontation is the lifeblood of politics. And if that bothers you, you should get into something more sheltered. It won't be for you. It won't be for you. You've got to be tough. You've got to be resilient. You don't turn around and cry on somebody's shoulder. You get back out there and fight, and you don't stop for things you believe in. So I want you to take those thoughts and go over to the ambassador and ask. Go ask these questions to someone that can get direct feedback to you from the United States government. Because I don't have those answers, but somebody will.
Thank you very much. We do not have much time. Maybe last two questions. Okay, we're going to the gentleman. Please, you. No, please, young gentleman. All questions about the United States of America. What about the Canada? Canada is also very important.
Hello everybody, my name is Recep. First, welcome to Azerbaijan and our university as well. My question is, what's your opinion about how the world countries should eradicate ISIS?
ISIS?
Eradicate ISIS.
Yes, it's interesting to me.
Do you want to accept that? I'll do it also.
Yeah, thanks for the question. It's always good to start with an easy question. But before I answer, I'd like to quickly answer the last question, because the reference was obviously to Nagorno-Karabakh and the conflict that also arose to the issue of displaced people. I mean, as you know, at the end of the Soviet Union, there was an agreement to respect the borders that existed at that time. Historically, there have been borders so many places, but there was an agreement to respect those borders. And your border between Armenia and Azerbaijan was violated at that time. And at that time, Azerbaijan was very weak, militarily, economically, and couldn't really push back. The international community has always agreed with the Azerbaijan position, which is that Armenia should vacate that property. The question is, why haven't they done anything, right? So actually the position from the west towards Nagorno-Karabakh as well as towards the Crimea is the same, which is that borders have been violated. In both cases, it has not been reversed. So this is not an easy, as Pam said.
But same in financial aid,
well, so that doesn't apply in Canada. But I do think that, ironically, the situation in Crimea is actually bringing more attention to the situation in Azerbaijan because people are making that linkage, and it has been made to me. Now, in terms of ISIS, Canada is also very involved with the coalition fighting against ISIS. We had a vote. I am in the National Parliament in Canada, and we did have a vote recently whether we would contribute military equipment to the fight against ISIS. I am a member of the governing party, and we were voting in favor of it. Our opposition parties were actually voting against it because they said it's not our fight. In my party, we don't agree with that. We think that ISIS really is a threat to modernity, to the modern world, to civilization, and that they are a threat that immediately in Iraq and in Syria, but if it is allowed to grow, it is like a cancer. If it is allowed to grow, it will get larger and larger. So this is, it's not an easy fight in terms of turning it around, but the international community, many countries led by the United States militarily, but also many other smaller countries like Canada participating in that process. And I also know that for you, living here, fairly close to Iraq, this is a regional issue as well, but religious fundamentalism is dangerous. The conference that we are attending this week is actually about using culture and cultural links, multiculturalism ideals, to actually create security in the world. And so at the conference yesterday and today, this is actually the topic: how do civilized countries, whether they are Muslim or Christian or Jewish or Buddhist or Hindu, different cultures, different languages, different religions, how can we live together, respect each other, and work together to protect those religions? Because when I see ISIS destroy a Jewish temple, a synagogue, or antiquities in Iraq, that is not only an affront, that is not only a violation of the rights of people there, it is a violation of me as well, as a civilized person. And so I think in Canada, and I don't know in the United States as much, but in Canada, unfortunately, sometimes this has turned into people think it's a conflict between Muslims and Christians. And many people, including myself, push back very hard saying, no, that's not what this is. This is not a battle between Muslim clerics and Christians or other religions. This is a battle between fanatical fundamentalists, people who say, this is what I believe, and if you do not agree, I will kill you. And whether they are Christian or Muslim or Jewish, that idea is dangerous, and all good people in the world, including Azerbaijan and Canada and the United States, need to work together to push back on that threat.
Unfortunately, time has come to leave because the conference is going on. Just Barry mentioned about this
Pamela
conference.
has a speech in the
yes, of course, yes. And on behalf of my students and guests and friends from the Parliament, first of all, I want to express my gratitude to our friends from United States of America and from Canada. And the last word, please.
Well, you know, I brought you some pencils. I want you to remember. So what it says on here is Legislative Building, Washington State Capitol, and that's in Olympia, Washington. So everybody that's been here today, I hope I have enough for each of you. So we'll make sure that you don't forget our meeting and you remember Washington State. And I've also said that I'll bring in some Native American artifact for your display for the United States. And then I see you have a certificate there that has the word Texas on it. And you have back there a poster that says Oregon. So I'm going to make sure you've got something from the state of Washington too. Thank you so much. I enjoyed being here with you.